Yeah, I think it is elevator music. I can mute it. It's just funny. How are you? What are you up to? On a call. Damn.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I hope this thing is working correctly. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the town hall chat in this channel. So if you have questions, please post them there. And towards the end of the town hall, we'll get to them and try to answer them. Okay. So let's get started. First, I want to welcome everyone to Time of Origins Season 10. Immortal Beloved Chapter 2. This is a follow-up. This is a follow-up season to Season 9, where we are keeping with the same theme and keeping with some of the same characters. If you choose to do so, you can bring those characters forward from Season 9. It is going to be 50 years later after season 9. Season 9 was based in 1823. This season's going to be based in 1873. So, getting started, there is going to be a little bit of additional kind of industrial steampunk elements to this season. Can you guys hear me okay? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we hear you fast.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, good. It's not just me. The season's going to take place on the Grim map, which is kind of the same map that we used last season. This season is going to be revolved around the city of Murkeystone. Each area of Murkeystone has been split into 4 districts. This is primarily just due to mechanical limitations that we have. We can only fit 60 people in a clan, so we can't make one big giant clan. So we kind of had to split it apart. Plus, we didn't want to have too much, too much going on in these cities with the buildings and whatnot. Some of the cities appear, or some of the towns appear or districts rather, appear to be rather large, but they actually have a lot of facades to them. So there's a lot of faked, fake building fronts, and very spread out. We were very conscientious of having the voice overlap
It's my
be
build character,
manageable,
Callie.
so that people in their homes don't overhear other people, that sort of thing. Only in the slum, what we call the slum areas or the starter housing, will you kind of have that situation a little bit. Okay, and we have let's see here. For those of you that are new to Time of Origins, we do things a little bit differently. We kind of play our seasons a bit like big D&D campaigns. Not necessarily where you have the rolling and things like that. We do have elements for that, but however, they usually have a very specific theme behind them and a very specific plot that is occurring. Now, the players, the storytellers, can interact with that, but typically what we like to do is we run them linear to your story. We don't have a lot of players that are able to kind of push that story or that storyline in a specific direction unless there's a lot of people. And the reason for that is actually very simple. If you've ever played telephone, and you have, somebody starts off with, well, there was a cow in somebody's yard. And then somebody says, you know what, the cow was on fire. And then the next person goes, you know what, the cow was on fire and then it ran into the neighbor's house. And on and on and on. What happens is by the time it gets to somebody at the end, the person at the front no longer understands what's going on or had any kind of say in what's going on. So what we do is we keep that linear. We let people kind of ride their RP off of that. And it makes for a very consistent storyline that players can then have something to actually RP together with, even if they've never met. They still have a story that is consistent with each other, and that's kind of important for us. That's not to say that the player base, you guys, don't influence it. You do. For instance, last season it was PVA cultists versus the player base, and the player base won. They beat the cultists and they beat them at their lair. This season is going to be more PvP oriented. And when I say that, and I'll get into that a little bit more, it's going to have more player versus faction PvP elements. Okay. There will be this season the ability for you all to actually sign up to be cultists if you want to. That means that you join the cult. There is an application. There are some guidelines, stipulations, and rules behind that. If you were with us in season 4, we did something similar with the Blood Mages, where we had the player base actually playing the antagonists. And they had very strict rules and guidelines in what they could and couldn't do. Okay.
Just keep going. I'm taking notes of the questions, just so you know.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. So, one of the important things is we want to make sure is that the antagonist characters just can't simply be unmasked or revealed without there being some kind of significant RP around that happening. So we don't want people just knocking somebody down and going, I ripped off so-and-so's mask and I know who it is. For RP purposes, those people are disguised under the mask so that you wouldn't be able to recognize them. And this won't happen unless there's some kind of significant RP. The reason for that is we only have so many people that are going to be cultists. And that being the case, we can't just roll through the entire player base of cultists, or we're not going to have very much of a season. So we're going to try to protect their identity, and we want to have some kind of very specific and very long-term kind of RP behind revealing who they are. And of course, if they choose to do so earlier, that's fine. That is their choice. But then that means that they probably will get eaten by the other cultists. The season is a blend of classical Victorian Gothic horror with some steampunk elements. Vampires, werewolves, humans inhabit the worlds. The characters must be appropriate for 1870s and low fantasy. So low fantasy means there can be fantastical elements injected, but no magic, no wizards. It's going to be very low fantasy, more technical, more scientific, that sort of thing. If you were here for season 9, you kind of know what I'm talking about. If you have a character idea and you're not sure if it feels like it's going to fit, feel free to open a ticket. We're less about wanting to say no, and we are more concerned with wanting to make sure everybody feels immersed in the world. So it's not that we want to say no to your character. We just want to make sure that everybody else, going through town doesn't have a floating wizard all of a sudden in the middle of, Victorian England. It's a little jarring, And we want to make sure that this season is fun for everybody. We work very hard to try to make a very immersive world for you all. Okay, so player-based roles, aside from the antagonists, which are the cultists, there's also several roles that can be signed up for that I'll list later in the document. There are businesses that we have offered in Murky Stone. It belongs to each of the districts, so therefore, if you live in a district and you belong to a district,
Hi, Crazy.
you
How are
can,
Welcome
and
back.
you purchase a business, you can decorate the business, you can, move things around, that sort of thing, without having to ask for any kind of admin assistance. It is built in the clan that it belongs to. So, we kind of factored that in from last season, and we hopefully, kind of fix that issue. Housing. Okay. There's going to be a lot of questions around the housing. And again, we're trying something very experimental. We've done something similar in the past in season 6 and season 7, but not to the point where you could actually own your house and sell your house. So we want to make sure that you actually have a sense of ownership with the housing that is there. Okay, so that said, let me talk about this a little bit. So there will be players or staff or both that will be acting as what we're calling real estate agents. So they will have a master key to show you around all the properties. They should have a good sense of what's available and what's not available, and be able to take you through a house if you want to tour it. There are empty plots. Once you buy a house, it's up to you. You can, if it's a pre-bed house, you can tear it down to the foundation and rebuild it as you see fit, as long as it fits within the guidelines. That plot is yours, and it will be marked in a listing with a title, and it will be yours to sell to other players if you want to. We have created kind of a bit of demand going from smaller plots to larger plots. So being able to modify your own home, the limitations we have is that they cannot exceed 3 floors. that is 6 wall pieces in height plus a roof. So you can have 3 solid floors, and that counts for any size built. So it's three floors of 2 walls each plus a roof. Now, the housing is divided into 5 different tiers. So the first tier is a free tier. Okay, so all you basically need to do is claim it, ask for a key. These are on first come, first served basis. There are 30 of each in each district. So once they fill up, you have to go to look at another district. It's just like housing in any other place, right? You want a house, but there's none available. You could try to talk to somebody into moving. You could try to pay them. You could any kind of thing, if you really, really want a house in a certain place. These tier 1 houses are 2x2 foundations. These houses, the free houses, you're not allowed to modify the house, the build of the house. You can decorate it. You can take decor out, or you can put decor in. You just can't change the walls, the foundations, any of that. It has to stay as is. They are primarily meant to be temporary homes, or for homes that people that just don't really care about, what house they live in. They are allowed to have 2 storage chests, and there's no taxes or cost. So it's basically free. The other houses, this is where it gets a little more interesting. The other houses, tier 2 houses, are 4x4 foundations. Their 4 storage chests are allowed. They have taxes that you would have to pay. Taxes are due weekly. I'll talk about them in a minute. You can own as many of these as you like, as many as you can afford. So if you want to buy 5 houses, buy 5 houses. If you want to be like a real estate mogul, knock yourself out. If you want to be like a house flipper, you could do that. Go and buy a house and then sell it for a profit, and then buy a bigger house with the money that you got. The tier 2 houses, there's 18 of them in each district. So it's kind of limited, but there should be enough for mostly everybody. You may alter the home, but no more than 6 walls plus a roof. And you must stay within the 4x4 foundation footprint, because that's really what you're paying for. Tier 3 is 5x5 foundations, 6 storage chests. Again, you can own multiples that you can afford. You have to pay the weekly tax. Taxes aren't meant to be super expensive. They're more meant to ensure that if somebody buys a house and then wanders off and just doesn't come back on the server ever again, that they're not holding a house forever. It is more along the lines to make sure that people are actively living in these houses and don't buy 30 houses in a row. So it's a little bit, that would be a little steep. Again, 6 walls tall plus a roof, and they have to stay within the 5x5 foundation footprint. If it's already built, you can tear it down and build it yourself, do whatever you want. We do realize people like to build, and we do want to make sure that they, at least get to customize their house their way. There are houses that are highly compact, like very close to each other in a city or an urban type environment. And we were also very cognizant to make sure that you have like suburban kind of areas. They're a lot more spread out, or, a little bit more privacy. The next tier is tier 4. That's 7x9 foundations with 8 storage chests allowed. You can own as many of these as you can afford. There are only 4 T4 homes in each district. You can alter the home up to 6 walls tall plus roof, but you have to stay within that 7x9 foundation footprint. You can have as many people live in there as you want. We're not setting how many people can live in one of these houses. So you can pull your money. The only caveat to this is that only one person can be on the title. So make sure whoever is on that title, that's who owns the house legally. And that's who can sell it. So if you're pulling money, make sure that you trust that person. The last one is Tier 5. That's a 10 by 10 foundation. That's allowed to have 10 storage chests. You can own multiples of this home if you can afford it. There are only 2 in each district, so they're kind of they're going to be in demand. You can alter the home. Most of them, I believe, are just plots at this point. They can't be more than 6 walls tall, plus a roof, and they have to stay within that 10 by 10 foundation. Each house has a house number associated with it. It's on a plaque, it's on the front of the house, or it's on a wall. If it's a plot, it'll be on the wall next to the plot. You may not change that number because that identifies that plot, and it also ties you as the owner to that home. You can put an additional sign there that puts your name or whatever you want to do. You just can't change that number. You just can't change the sign with that number because that's going to tell staff that you paid for it. And if you remove it, then we're going to have no tax record and we're going to have to recharge you again. And you don't want that to happen. So long story short, don't get rid of that sign.
It's probably moist.
The property taxes will be paid to
Look,
the
I'm
tax
here.
office on a
Hi,
weekly basis.
AP.
The taxes paid will go to Murkeystone Township.
Thank you
And
for the
we
tier
are going to
1.
have
8
some
months?
staffing
What?
payments from that.
19 months.
So
You
things like
subscribe for 8
guards
months in
or
advance?
hospital
What?
workers, nursing,
Crazy.
doctor
Crazy.
staff,
I'm
lawyers,
actually
well, not
taking
lawyers,
and
but I
whitelisting at the
believe
same time.
prosecutors will get paid from that fund when they work on cases, that sort of thing. And I'll get into that stuff in a little bit. We've really tried to come up with something very interesting. Okay. Property taxes will be due by midnight on every Sunday. House purchases include the first Sunday of taxes in the purchase price. So if let's say you buy a house today, right? It's Saturday. It'll be paid up this Sunday. So you won't owe taxes. And then you'll just have to pay the taxes the following Sunday. If you buy it on a Tuesday, it's going to skip that Sunday, and then you'll owe taxes on the following Sunday. So does it make sense to buy a house like, Monday or Tuesday? Probably. But, it doesn't matter when you get that house. You will not owe that Sunday. That'll be paid for automatically with the purchase. It'll be the next Sunday. We keep track of this in a sheet so we know who owns what house and we know what taxes are paid. We will have to deal with foreclosures. So foreclosure is basically if you haven't paid your taxes by that Sunday, then you'll get a notice on your house that taxes are due. And you'll be given 7 calendar days to make that right. If you don't, it reverts back to Murkeystone and becomes vacant for sale again. This is primarily for, making sure we don't have a bunch of people taking up houses or taking up the good houses and then never showing up, right? We want to make sure that they're active and here, and that's one way to do it. There are 4 residential districts in Murkeystone. Each kind of has its own flavor and its own kind of feel. They have their own kind of recreational areas and gathering areas to them. That is District 1, which is Rosemist Falls. District 2, which is Devil's Canyon. District 3, which is Tinker's Hollow. And District 4, which is Angelwood Cove. Now, you don't have to immediately get a house. When you come out of the starter area, you're going to be in a clan that is called homeless. And you can move to each district or, go around to each district and decide, where you want to live because the choice is really yours. You cannot create your own clans. You cannot create your own housing. This would absolutely undermine what we're trying to do with an economy if anybody could just create a house anywhere. So we want to make sure that, we make it clear that, we're going to put you in one of the 4 districts and you'll be able to have a home in one of the 4 districts, whether it be, one of the starter homes that are no tax, or whether you are able to group money
High
together
Helen.
and
Yeah.
own one of the larger homes in the districts. Each district is going to have 2 representatives from it
Maybe.
that will form the Greater
That's right.
Murkystone Municipal
I'm tired.
Council.
I'm beginning to
That
sleep.
governs all districts. Okay, so those will be done, I believe, every 2 weeks, and the voting will start on a Friday and it'll last until Sunday. And those with the most votes become the representatives, and they belong on the Murkystone Council, which is made up of 9 members, 2 from each district and 1 from Murkystone, which will probably be a
Mind your business.
staff member to make sure that things don't go off the rails. They will decide laws, rules, that sort of thing.
I got 5 hours of sleep this morning, actually, which is not
There's
terrible.
a number of things that they can decide. We want them to have as much autonomy as possible in governing everything. Legal disputes. So this is something different. We kind of touched on this a little bit last season, and it was actually pretty popular. And it was, I believe, the first time anybody had seen it in Conan was having an actual court being held with a prosecutor and a defendant and a defending attorney. So we decided to put that in. So there will be a county courthouse. Say that fast 10 times in a row. A tribunal judges. So there's 3 judges, which will be staff members to assure impartiality.
Wait, Helen, are you on my
And
friend list? My
there will
Steam
be
list?
lawyers. So you can be a lawyer, you can be a prosecutor, you can be a defense attorney. You can charge for your services if you're a good one. You can defend or prosecute or call up jurors. We will be handling 2 types of situations. So we'll be handling torts and crimes. So what that means is, yes, you can actually sue somebody else, and you can sue them in the court, and we will make sure that these things are handled in a very procedural manner, and judgments will be handed down. Crimes, same thing. The Murkystone Council will ultimately decide what the crimes are, and they'll have to work with the law enforcement to make sure that those things are understood and enforced. There is a prison that is in the land. It is built. It is built so that how do I say this without? It is built to allow to be a bit of a dungeon in itself. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so various jobs that I talked about, to be law enforcement, postal workers, physicians, nurse, hospitalists, lawyers, tax collector. If somebody wants to be a tax collector and say, hey, you don't actually get to collect the money, but you can go around and say your taxes are due, or have you paid your taxes. Some of these roles will be paid. Others, people can own a business, and I'll talk about that in a second. And we'll kind of work out what those salaries are. We're still kind of going back and forth on what the economy is going to be. We've actually worked pretty hard. We have a giant spreadsheet to try to figure out how to actually build an economy in this thing and make it interesting. Businesses. So the business districts have shops in them. They're built in 4 different sizes. So there's a booth or a stall. There's small, medium, and large shops. with tickets, we can customize. We can customize these areas to your needs, and again, it's going to have weekly rents for the business. This is to ensure that if you stop playing, or somebody takes up a business and stops playing, that business can then revert back to Murky Stone and make it available for somebody else. Again, each of those shops, they're going to be in that district's business area, so it'll be in the clan so that you can move furniture around, you can decorate, you can, if you want to plop stuff down for a scene, you can do that. It's going to be basically your business.
Can I jump in on it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So the businesses will be able to decorate and change according to districts, but no tearing down outer walls. And your entrance to each business district will be in Murky, and each one will have it. And we've set it up so that it kind of looks and feels like you're walking into it without having a loading screen. So there's that too.
It is kind of neat. There's going to be you won't have the voice overlap from businesses that are outside of your district or clan. They'll be separate and distinct.
I mean, there's still going to be voice overlaps, unfortunately.
Yeah, within all the people that are in there, or if they're talking, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Storyteller roles. We've integrated the RR sheets a bit. Now, we don't require that you fill out an RR sheet. We do strongly suggest or recommend that you do. I think that will make things a little bit more interesting for you, because there are some things that we have tied to them, like some of these roles. So there are blacksmith roles and weaponsmith roles and gunsmith roles, basically under metallurgy, where those are the only roles that are going to be able to get the good weapons and armor to sell. They're going to be tied to that business role. Doctors, nurses, surgeons, same kind of thing. A lot of their roles and a lot of their abilities, if they wanted to add a level of so what I'm looking for, uncertainty to what they're doing to their RP, we can do that. Same thing with engineering, academic, entertainers, service industry, and law enforcement.
Special foods and
There's
stuff
going
that
to be
House made
different
for me.
areas. There's going to be times when certain
Bakery
things
items, so breads and stuff.
are, like certain clues or POIs
So
are going to be tied
might
to a
take your
specific
cookie
skill
test,
set
I'm
or
just
perk,
saying.
so that those roles be essential in helping to figure out that part of something. I talked about the clans earlier, so each is a clan of 60 people. If we get more than
If my browser
240 people and fill up the clans, we'll kind of worry about it then, but I don't think we're going to really get to that. Okay, Storyteller Cultists. We have an online application and an agreement located where you can sign up to be a cultist. It is on the season guidelines. There's a link there that you can sign up. Cultists have to be human, and they are their own race. So they kind of have their own stats. Are you going to be a little bit stronger than everybody else? Yeah, probably. But you're probably also going to be facing more people at a time. So, hopefully that kind of balances out. We might be balancing throughout the season to try to work and make sure we find that sweet spot to make it good. So, please be patient with us on that count. Cultists don't have to live at the cultist base. They can be incognito, so they can live within the population. They can live within the population, and then they can get to the cultist base, and they can change their outfits into their cultist outfit and go out and do stuff. There are, I don't want to say portals, but we have machines that are called
Yeah.
transmogrifiers
We have a lot of
that
options.
will allow them to transport out of the base to different various areas of the map. They, well, you'll have to, if you're going to be a cultist, you'll have to go through them and figure out where they go. Okay. You also can be a full-time cultist if you wish to. You can live at the cultist base. There's housing there. I believe up to 20 houses. And there's also storage lockers. So if you don't want to live there, you can have a storage locker. You put a key on it. You drop your stuff off. You get changed. You go out. You do your day job. You know, check the old time clock. Go out and murder some people, and then come back and get changed and go home and see, you know, the wife and kids. All right. The housing in the cultist base is first come, first serve. There's no rents or taxes on them. It is just part of the cultist base. The cultist base is not reachable, or it shouldn't be reachable by the player base, not until we have some kind of event that we allow it. So don't frustrate yourself trying to get there, because you won't unless you have access. Okay, player races. We're going to have 3 main races: human, werewolf, and vampire. There are some races from season 9 that some players will be able to grandfather in if you were that race, or your character was that race previously, and you're bringing them forward. Put in a ticket and request it if you if that's something you want to do. Okay, so human characters from the previous season. If you're bringing a human character, you got to remember they're going to be older. So we'll have to you have to make sure that you're going to RP that. Somebody might want to. We just thought we'd throw that in. Okay, so the vampires.
They're gonna turn into a Faust.
Thank you. I was trying to avoid that, but okay, 4 types of vampires. So there are the sanguine vampires, which are your typical blood drinkers, emotion vampires, energy vampires, and disfigured. Disfigured are the Nosferatu types. The further definitions of those are on the guidelines. I don't want to have to hash them out, so you guys listen to them all. But werewolves, afflicted. Afflicted werewolves are ones that you get bitten and turned into a werewolf, or true, which is they were born that way. Then a vile thing. A vile thing is like a wolf-like or wolf-like creature that maybe takes potions. Think Jekyll and Hyde, something like that. Something we've added to keep humans in line with everybody else is to give them sub races as well. So you have champions, analysts, and charmers. So champions are like athletes, or think strong-willed people, that sort of thing. Analysts, very smart. Think Sherlock Holmes, right? That would be an analyst. And charmers. So somebody that's very charming, or smooth talker, like a somebody wants to be like a used car salesman or something. No offense to anybody if they're a used car salesman here. There's also something else we're adding, okay, which is elder races. Elder races is something that we're trying that is new. It is application only. There's only 3 per race. So it's going to be very limited and hopefully very secretive. But again, it's up to them. We're not going to disclose who they are. We're going to be very tough on any meta behind them. So be very careful when make sure that you have significant RP behind revealing somebody as an elder. because we're going to take that very, very seriously this season. We want to make sure that the folks that play an elder get to actually play the elder through to the conclusion that they would like to see it. Okay. These characters will have to agree to perma their character when certain conditions are met. It's a non-negotiable. In for them to get that elder status and those additional stats, yes, they're going to have additional stats. That's something they're going to have to agree to. So if that's something you want to do, that is a requirement for doing it. Is you're going to have perma conditions. The perma conditions are on the application. There are only two, and I can talk briefly about that. One is if certain conditions in PvP are met, and the other is you come up with your non-PvP, your own non-PvP perma condition that can be met. So again, after the town hall, we're going to review the application one more time through staff, and then I'll post an announcement with a link to that application if you're interested in signing up for it. It's going to be on a first come, first served basis, plus the quality of the application. Okay, so classes. There are a number of classes. Revan, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you want to talk about the classes, or would you prefer I do?
I can do it. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna pull it up. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I apologize.
I kind of put him on the spot here, so.
Yeah, I didn't realize I was gonna be doing this. It's okay. Give me 1 second, guys.
Yeah. There are consequences, though, because...
Can you tell me when you want me to start reading the questions, Faust?
Yeah, as soon as Revan's done with the...
No, it's fine. Just tell me.
Okay.
Any questions?
We have a lot of questions.
There are a lot, yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot.
All right.
Do you want to go through a few of them then while I get this set up, and then we can pause and do that? Or...
Sure.
Okay, let's do that.
Alrighty. First question. Does everyone have to live in the district?
Yes.
Alright. Second question. How high are taxes versus the amount of income you expect the average person to make regardless of RP jobs?
So taxes aren't specifically an amount that we're looking at as a percentage of your income. We're trying to balance the taxes so that it is not
Hi,
super
Catcher.
challenging for multiple people to live in a house, but somewhat challenging for one person to live in a very large house that should belong to multiple people. I hope that makes sense. So we are looking at how we do have an economy spreadsheet, and we're looking at how much potential income you could have. We are looking at, how much it is possible for, if you hit the maximum on every single quest, or daily, how much you would make in any given day. And
So this
then
season,
that is just going to be a percentage of
vampires,
that.
werewolves are meant
So that,
to be
we're not making sure you're
and
broke
not
every tax season.
outwardly flaunting.
The initial cost is going to
that
be much
they
higher to
are
purchase a house
creatures.
than the taxes
They're
are. The
all gonna be
taxes will
mixed
be
together with
significantly
humans in the
lower than the
districts.
purchase price.
So there are consequences, not just
Is
for
VTM going to be
the
heavy part
masquerade,
again?
but there are
Sorry, my bad.
consequences,
Is
in
VTM
the
going to
quote-unquote
be a
human
heavy
world
part
as
again?
well.
as a lot of people in season 9 used VTM a lot for their vampires.
So we talked about this quite a bit. We want to make sure, just because VTM and some of that lore is very unbalanced when it comes to certain races or certain creatures. So we are kind of using it as
remember
what's the word I'm
some
looking
of
for?
the moderators really wanted
As
to
kind of
do the masquerade,
a starting
like the game,
area,
or I
but
get it's a
not
game, you said?
specifically those
But
rules. Just because of
I
that.
think that there were so many of us
So
that
if you
don't
want to
have any
play
clues about
a
it that it was really
VTM, you want
hard
to play
for
a
us
character
to
as a
say,
VTM
yeah, let's do
character,
it.
I mean, you're
Because
entitled to
even
do
as,
so.
you know, upper
We're not going
staff,
to
some
stop
of us
you.
have no idea.
We're just not going to,
So it'd be really hard for
enforce
us to help with
VTM
that, or
rules,
be able
you
to
know,
participate
like
not
strictly
knowing anything
to
about
that,
it.
That particular,
The council,
man,
so let me rephrase what I said
having
a
a
minute
moment
ago.
here.
There aren't just consequences with like the vampire
Yeah, we're
council
not going to
for
hold
outing your
anybody
vampire, but
to
also the
those rule
human
sets.
world.
All right, what else we got?
Or whatever you get.
Okay,
the
considering
vampires
that
hold, I
magic
think
is
it's a
very
council.
must pre present last season? Present? No, sorry, it's present. My bad.
Yep.
Considering that magic was very present last season and was in fact an integral part in infiltrating the final cultists. I'm sorry, you're testing my English here. Considering, I'm just gonna DM you this message.
I see the question. I see. Considering that magic was
Okay.
very much present last season and was in fact an integral part of infiltrating the final cultist stronghold and winning the war, how exactly are supposed to resolve that if there's no magic in the upcoming season? Are we retconning that entirely? Trying to think of what magic there was. We very much were trying to get away from magic and make it more like technical.
Oh, the fireballs. The undead.
There was a
I'm
basic
assuming it was the
Conan
undead that had fireballs,
magic that
fire
people
magic,
went and got,
ice magic, that stuff.
and they had in their staves.
Maybe. I know that there was things like electricity. I remember that,
Yeah.
and being able to charge things up. We can describe that, I think, as a bit of a lost art, maybe that was lost. We do want to try to move towards more technology and make that kind of the magic that we have. We're challenged for mechanics to be able to pull some of this stuff. I've been a mod creating fool for a while. We now have like six or seven mods. The decor alone, the decor mod is up to like almost 610 pieces. So, as we go on, I'll strive to get things that are more fabulous, that are technology based. But yeah, I think we're just going to have to, we're going to have to talk about maybe lost arts.
Okay, so the question is that this person had as a character had magic last season. Do they just lose the magic now?
They won't be able, I mean, they can RP
Yes,
it if
the
they
answer
want, but
should
they're
be
not going to have
yes,
mechanics to do it.
because we weren't supposed to have magic last season, and players still went out and farmed it.
All right, next question, right?
So technically, there shouldn't have been
So
magic
my
anyway.
question is for the characters who have returned from season 9 in terms of cultists, would they be more pissed at those who took part in the war versus new characters such as vamps, werewolves, etc.?
I'm assuming that you mean like more animated towards cultists, or more aggravated towards them, or immediately have some kind of yeah, I think that would make sense to me, that you would have a little bit more salt in your wound from them. Okay. The next question. I think I see
To
it here.
do with the classes on the website doesn't state the buffs and debuffs pretty much what are the bonuses to them. Will that be stated before you pick it? So I don't mistakenly pick a class that isn't fitting to my old character from season 9.
Uh, Typically we don't publish those things, and that's just kind of try to avoid the whole, the min maxing that some folks like to do. We, if you have questions and you want to tell us, like, here's my character, open a ticket and say, here's my character, what would fit the best, and we should be able to give you that information.
Yeah, no min-maxing.
Don't we say
No
that every
switching
season?
classes just to test them out. That's all gonna happen this season.
Let's see here.
Will there be a limitation to the placeables per housing? Because that will be honestly needed, as some add like 500 plants into their houses at times.
That's true.
I do believe we had restrictions for that, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh.
I think it was on that sheet, but I can't remember. Thought we put that
Well,
in there.
I'll definitely review the guidelines and make sure that they're on there.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't imagine you putting 500 pieces in a 2x2 house. I'm sure
my
somebody's
God.
going to try, but I know exactly what you mean, because some of the houses were ridiculous and they had some stuff that was insane. So yeah, we will have limitations.
Yes, we will. We'll release it before launch. Are there sorry? Are there going to be weaknesses to being a werewolf or vampire this time? That is universal, such as vamps to sunlight and werewolves to silver. If not, what makes being human worth it? RP, I would say honestly. That's the whole point.
So the thing
But-
with humans is humans have all the choice. So a human can remain a human. They can become a werewolf. They can become a vampire. They can become a cultist. So that I think that in itself should, incentivize people to want to be human. Not to mention that they don't have other limitations. Now, we tried to stay away from defining what the weaknesses of a vampire or a werewolf are, because there's several different kinds with, anybody can pull up any kind of document from the internet and say, here, this vampire is what I am, and it doesn't have this weakness, and blah, 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 blah. So instead of having to go through all that, we're saying you decide what the weaknesses and strengths of your character is, and how to play it. Okay, what's the next question?
I'm also curious if there are any hard and fast rules that vampires and werewolves must follow to make them more consistent overall, or if we are given freedom to play with that as long as we stick to the basic archetypes, so to speak. I guess that's the word. I'm sorry if I butchered it.
Yes, we're hoping that you stick to those archetypes. Blood, energy, emotional vampire. We don't want to have like vampires that go off the rails or werewolves that go off the rails. That is for everybody's sake, so that hopefully we have
Here's the application for the elders if you want to take a peek at it.
Hopefully we have
Conditions, permanent
folks that
conditions.
remain immersed, and there's consistency to it.
Have you answered to the previous question about what makes one stay a normal human?
Yeah, I thought I did.
Okay, okay,
You know,
and I'm
that
just
they,
asking you. I'm asking you. Sorry. On a lot of the housing, would you be able to add a shop underneath and having the house part on the second floor? That's a no. That's why the business district is there.
yeah, there is a business district specifically for shops. Um, these business districts are so that everyone knows where to go, and that we don't have, you know, one district full of shops. Um, they're basically going to be for living.
I can answer it in this way. This is how we came up with it. It's not 100% like this, but the concept is from it. If you look at a metropolitan, its business center is its heart of the eye, and its living districts shoot out of the metropolitan. So it's not just, maybe you guys don't work. I think we established you guys don't work in a metropolitan kind of way, do
So we
you, fellas?
basically have 4
Hmm.
districts across
You
the
do?
map for players to live
Sort of.
in.
Sort
That's
of.
where
Okay.
they'll live, and
So I
that's
hope that
where,
explains it,
they'll
but
go
that's the
between.
whole idea about it.
They can't build on their own. They have to
Point
stay
kind of
within,
missed
they have
what
to live within one of the districts.
incentive is there for someone to fight for their
And then
humanity.
the businesses, players are allowed to RP getting a business.
Humanity versus giving in to
And
the
the
temptation of
businesses are
just joining
located
other
in
races
a
and
section of
cultists.
Murky Stone, which is off the map. So players have to travel there to go to the business districts. There's a
I mean, I would think
specific
that would be,
section for
you know, the
each
RP in
district
itself.
in Murky
Yeah.
districts.
You
So like
guys,
a sub district for each. Like so, Rosemas
So,
Falls District
if you, are
1
you, I guess I need to ask a question in order to maybe help
is
follow
my
that up.
district.
Dark
We
Jedi,
have a
what
town,
kind of
and then within
sense are
Murky
you coming
Stone,
from? Are
there's
you
a
referring to
section
RP or are you referring to
for
PvP?
Rosemas Falls for
Just
us
to
to
kind of
have our
categorize that.
businesses in Rosemas Falls or in Murky Stone.
Both.
And then
Okay.
each of the
So in
other
terms of
districts
it
have the
being
same
PvP
thing.
oriented, let's talk about that
So
one
all
first.
businesses are going through Murky
I have
Stone. All
attempted
of
to
them are
balance the
located
classes so
in
they are
Murky Stone.
very, very close. Races aren't exactly as important as the classes are, in terms of like actual stats and being able to fight. For that very purpose. As far as it goes with roleplay aspects of it, what would make your character want to be one of them? If your character is a human, wouldn't they want to stay a human? I mean, I can understand where you're saying that. I've worked very hard to make sure that is not the case. I've had a decent amount of testing with a lot of the staff here. And I think they're in a decent place as of right now. And they're fairly on par with each other. That's probably all I can say about that matter in of itself. Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next question.
Sure.
Curious about this too. Could I run a small business out of my home, or am I required to have a shop elsewhere? That would require a lot of extra work and money and whatnot. Am I required to do anything specific in order to sell goods to people? Given the magic was a part of last season, and I guess this kind of goes hand in hand with my other question about magic. I think I mixed two questions up here. If my character had a magical. I'm sorry. This person's questions was very confusing.
I think I see
Let's.
the question.
Okay, I'm assuming we answered the business out of the home part, right? You good with that, Faye?
Just re-answer.
So, all right, if I can talk about, looks like we see. So there's going to be some specific items that businesses will be able to get. Like say you want to be a bakery and you want to have baking items or bread items. Those things are available from a staff shop so that you can get them to sell at your shop to the public. And those things can be, unique to your business. But looking at the other half, will the masquerade actually be an important part of the world for non-humans this go-around? An attempt was made to enforce it last season, but it was never part of established lore that everyone was required to follow, and it was just kind of a thing that became popular. As much as I would love to say that we want to enforce the masquerade, I am going to say this. You're going to be in a town full of humans, werewolves, vampires, and a number of other things. If one presents themselves or declares that they're a vampire in the middle of a bunch of humans, they might just wind up in an asylum, which we actually happen to have as part of the hospital. So, those things will not really be strictly enforced, but will be kind of RP enforced. Hopefully, by the population, by you all, so that we keep some kind of semblance. Yeah, and we send you to the crazy house, and we have a crazy house. We also have a prison, so if you're dangerous, you can go there. And then, of course, you will be in front of a judge, and whatever else happens, if you get prosecuted and sent to prison. So we are trying to.
Can I add to that real quick?
Sure.
If you jump the wall of Murky, you're getting jailed. You're getting jailed. That's all I'm gonna say.
Same.
That's how that's how we came up with the wall jumpers of last season. So you're getting jailed.
We're all
Fair
going
warning.
to jail. Don't be
So
climbing.
yeah,
Don't climb the walls.
that is good to say that it is not going to stop you this time to jump the walls of Murky Stone. However, do so at your own risk. So if you like spending time in the tank, have at it. So I'm seeing the next question from Belfi, right? Wanted to ask about houses like the Dubois, the Blackwoods, etc., noble homes. How do these fit in with housing? Well, those could be groups that can purchase those 10 by 10s. If you have a big group, purchase the 10 by 10s and make your own noble house. You can absolutely do that. There's only 2 per district, so there can only be up to 8 noble houses. Another question, are the districts going to be geared towards certain races? No. We all going to be intermingled everywhere? Yes. Gribbenwood was the vampire, Silver Rang was wolf, Mortis for undead. So those things no longer exist. Everybody is commingled, and nobody should really know what anybody is and find out through RP. Since they're going to be in a kind of a tighter area, you have more opportunities to observe people and see what they come up with, right? All right, what else? We have questions here. As far as housing, this is from Bjork. As far as housing, let's say you buy a 7x9 tier 4 plot. Does the house have to take up the full 7x9, or can you make the house smaller if you have like a courtyard? The answer is you can make it any way you want, as long as it stays within that 7x9 plot. So if you want to make the house 3x3 and use the rest for a yard, have at it. You can do that. It's your house. Are you able to have multiple jobs?
Professions or jobs?
Like one full-time job and then one side job. I don't think we have a limitation on that. I think you just have to be able to perform the job.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm speaking under correction, everyone's just gonna have one profession, right, Faust?
The profession is different, but can you own a shop and can you, you know,
Clean the garden?
yeah, be a. I don't, I'm not sure.
So, do you mind if I mention something?
Yeah,
Though?
go ahead. Absolutely.
I was just gonna state, like, there's gonna be a difference, I think, between the jobs as well as the professions. So jobs are kind of quest driven. As far as jobs are concerned, it'll be kind of like a almost like a paycheck that you get after a certain period of time of you putting in time into that job. So it's a little bit of a difference in those two things, but you can make money by those quote unquote, I'll call them side quests, in that way. Hope that answers that.
Yeah, that's
I mean, if you want to be a doctor and sell, and on the weekends want to sell pastries in the bakery, that's up to your character.
yeah. I think it has to make sense, and then you have to be able to, maintain the business. We don't want to see empty businesses. That's what we're trying to avoid. And so people actually go to the business districts and find people there, and can actually buy stuff there. That's our hope. There are some areas within each of the districts that are kind of recreational. They are not necessarily businesses per se. There's also some fake businesses there just to kind of give, a sense of it being a community, but it's not, we're not going to have businesses in the district. Okay, another one's from Faye. Given that Magic's part of last season, and I guess this kind of goes hand in hand with my other question about Magic, if my character has a magical item crafted in RP, and by proper RP, I mean proper RP, does the fact that we're not having Magic this season mean that that item no longer exists or is no longer magical? I think so. When I'm talking about Magic this season, think Harry Houdini, think a palm reader that uses smoke and mirrors to and a crystal ball. That's kind of where we're picturing Magic to be, more of a fake kind of thing, so that
Mirrors.
Magic is more along the lines with Magic as it is right here, and David Copperfield type Magic. We used to have somebody play a wizard. I'm not gonna say who it was,
Yes.
but he was excellent at this. He never used actual mechanical magic ever. He'd be like, I'm going to disappear. Look over there. And then he'd go run behind a rock and go, I disappeared. That's kind of what we're picturing the magic to be. So magical items might be replaced with, say, items that are mechanical in nature and maybe not understood, or technology so advanced that it's not understood. That's what we would like to see the Magic moving towards this season, and more towards technical aspect and knowledge. If your character has cultist souvenirs from last season, do you get to keep those? No, you lost those because the town, they were in the town when the town got shuttered. So, unfortunately, it was lost. Are there going to be a lot of clothing items hidden so that they're not usable on the server? I understand. I want to try to keep the time period. There's a lot of clothing and items. Okay, so that's actually a really good question. And this deals with the clothing and item. We have left a lot of clothing items unlocked. We've tried to hide the very obvious things that are in various mods that are not something that would be on this server, like very sexual in nature. However, that said, we've kept a lot of stuff unlocked because we know that together with other items, you can make very distinct clothing, and we've been very mindful of that. So we've left them open. Also, that said, we have not locked out the animations. What mod is that? That has all the
GD.
Yeah.
Davis Desires.
So we have not locked out the, what are they called? Those animations. Anybody?
You
Bueller?
I don't know what he's talking about right now.
Do you mean like the provocative ones you're referring
Yeah.
to, or
Yeah.
the
The devious desires. They have the naughty
That one's
animations.
tough.
We have not unlocked that. We have not locked that tab. So please be very careful with those animations. Some of them are very
I don't know. I
sexual in
think he's
nature,
trying
and
to
we
be
don't want to see them.
cautious with his wording,
But
'cause,
some
you
of
know,
them are pretty
you
good for
know,
RP. We really wish
Time of Origins
they could
definitely
be
has
done
its haters,
individually.
you know.
But there's
Regardless,
some that are
people are going to find things to nitpick, so
useful for
especially against Faust.
some RP situations.
So it's
So
always
we
good
are
to
taking
be
a
careful with
chance
their
and
words,
leaving it up to you guys to be adults and make sure that we don't use them on the server, because we will be forced to take action and ban you, and we don't want to do that. So, don't use those animations. Don't use the sexual animations, but the kneeling and the praying ones are somehow built into that particular tab. So we decided to not lock that tab.
Yeah, there's some good
All
ones
right.
in the
So moving along here. So
in that tab that are very good for RP,
it's a lot of discussion.
and most people don't
let's
use
see.
them for ERP. So most people use them the way that we like them to be used.
What incentive? Okay, so this was Dark Jedi. What incentive is there for someone to fight? I don't know if we've answered that question for you, but I think this go round, a lot of the races are going to be very close together, so humans aren't going to be that overwhelmed, by the other races. This is going to be more RP flavored for whoever wants to play a particular race or class. We've also added, of course, the subclasses or the sub races for the humans as well. So each of them has a very distinct flavor that they can play, and that'll be tied into EE as well. Okay.
Where are you? Sorry, my bad.
I was down to Jedi's question about humans.
Okay. And then it's the vamp stuff?
Yeah, and I answered that. So it looks like we're down to what kind of healing. So the healing's going to be whatever healing is available to anybody.
Healing?
Yeah, Dark Jedi asked
There's
what
gonna
kind of
be-
healing.
if he was
Well,
referring to the
mechanically
passive,
or what?
the passive healing that they were getting last season with the curses. I think we
Oh.
didn't answer that, but
Yep.
There's
This
gonna
might
be
just
doctors too.
there
yeah,
will be
we've never
doctors to
blocked
heal you.
them, but I know we
this-
actually have
Hospital.
people on our staff team that are like,
You do
"Oh,
have a
we
whole
to block
hospital,
them,"
and
we're
the
like,
hospital,
"Why? We've never
I don't
blocked
think we
them."
mentioned, is going to be instanced,
And
so
so
that
it doesn't. It's never made
you
sense
are
because there's really
going to
good
be
ones
taken
in
there, and it has its own area. So if somebody's outside the hospital in the street, you're not going to hear them.
You can also talk to a thespian and talk to them and see how many people are in a hospital. There is mechanics for it. If it's 100% foolproof, I cannot guarantee that.
Well, fools
But
are so ingenious, right?
we're hopeful.
Okay, will the self-regen amulet be banned this season? Yes. No more rolling to heal. That was
Where's
just
that
getting a little
question?
ridiculous, and so that we are reviewing those items that are going to be absolutely ridiculous, and then that way, if everybody's on the same sheet of music, that will pretty much put everybody in line with each other, and we don't have to worry about
people don't want, they can
any of
block
the ridiculousness
people
that was happening
generations
last
on them.
season.
Yeah.
I'm curious, is there gonna be catch-all mages, the people that can do every magic?
Hmm?
Whose
Magic won't be
question?
available.
Yeah, magic's not going to be a thing.
It's banned. There, it's banned. It's
What
removed.
kind of healing? I'm assuming we're not allowed
Oh,
to
is
sell
there a
anything.
place for churches? I plan to bring back a certain church. I'm just wondering if there is a place for that.
I
I'm not
answered
sure about the
the.
other districts, but district of one district has a church.
Mhm.
Yes, that you.
At least 2 districts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
2
think
districts. Okay, 2 districts has
2 districts
churches.
have a church.
Yep.
Um,
I understand about that in terms of magic, but I'm asking if important magical items acquired through RP will no longer be actually magical,
uh,
uh,
I
i.e.,
think
enchanted.
in answer to that, just think in terms of replacing magic with technology. So they might be high technology. They might be technology that's much higher than you would typically find in 1873. But almost maybe we might call them magic, but they're not actually going to be like magic or enchanted. Uh,
How is it going to be handled if someone has to go on vacation for a week or so due to personal stuff? Will there be a buffer to the shops and housing if someone has to be away for a bit? Or do they just lose all their stuff?
so the answer to that is, we do as we always do. If someone posts in the vacation channel that they're going to be gone for a while, we absolutely factor that in, and no, you do not lose your stuff, and no, you do not get your house taken away, or you lose your stuff. We'll just kind of pause you where you are, and then when you get back, we'll resume. That said, if you go on vacation for like a month, we might have some questions for you, but the main idea is to to make sure that we have a difference between people that are just abandoning a home or abandoning a business versus those that actually want to play it but just have other real world responsibilities.
Lorraine was not in any of the towns when they were disbanded. She would have taken her souvenirs with her to a completely different part of the world as soon as
You have a
servers
vacation
came
for a
down, like, for
month?
example. I had one of the necklaces that they used to become invulnerable. It wasn't working, of course, but she would have kept it when she left. Is that a question? Or is that just a statement?
I think for this season and when it comes to that sort of thing, I think that we would have probably lost it, or because it
Okay.
is going to be a lost technology. The cultists are not going to have those necklaces. And we just want to make sure that we're at least starting fresh um, for some new players. You can remember the necklaces, but I don't think you can have one.
Yeah. You Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Ripped to my undercover schoolgirl outfit.
What?
Don't worry, Jedi. We will get you an undercover schoolgirl outfit.
Oh,
Just
jeez.
yeah, we.
And I'll throw an undercover maid outfit with it. There you go.
um. Okay, so looks like somebody's answering devious. Let's see. As far as the churches are concerned, yeah, if you want to play a pastor in a certain church, go ahead. Knock yourself out. Those churches in those areas, everything in the district is for RP purpose. Uh, some districts have some things that are very just kind of leisurely sort of things that where people would get together and bond. Feel free to use them. Feel free to RP in those areas that as you see fit. Okay. So lockpicking and thief stuff. So we are working on some lock picking, not necessarily in breaking into people's homes. But there will be some opportunities to do that sort of thing. The shops.
The shops is gonna be open. Unless you guys put doors on it. But stealing from the shops?
I can honestly say that's not something we really considered or talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, it might
All the
be
cupcakes and
it might be
cakes.
interesting to see shops getting robbed, maybe at at gunpoint.
Yeah, I was about to
And
say
I know
we
I
have
saw.
guns, so
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I had nothing to say. I started laughing. It's all.
Oh, I did see somebody ask if there was going to be guns and things that were period appropriate, and the answer to that is yes.
Yes, they are. One thing, if I can touch on it, with the shops being robbed, that type of thing. If that is an avenue of RP you wish to go down, maybe throw in a ticket. We can try and see if we can set something up, and go from there. We'll have to talk a little bit more about how that would work, I think.
Yeah, I think the bottom line when it comes to our stance on Thief RP is we want to make sure that Thief RP enhances the RP for everybody around them, and not just for personal enrichment.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the question is regarding maybe are the shop's inventory gonna have keys? I think that's the question, and will people be able to get into the inventories? I think
Yeah.
that's the question.
And I think they were linking that back to the lockpick situation. Can those inventories be lockpicked and stolen from, that type of thing?
I think that's a discussion we will have
Yeah.
internally because I don't think we really thought about that, to be honest.
Yeah.
So we will discuss that, and we will try to come back with answers to that particular one. And again, want to make sure that it's tied to having RP around it. I think that's the primary thing. So Revan, are you ready
I'm
to
good.
talk about the classes?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, bud.
All right, your stage, bro.
he said.
Alrighty, how's it going, guys?
He
So
said
this season there's
bud.
going to be 5 different classes. The way I've kind of done it is to kind of make them a combination of both ranged as well as up close, to kind of keep Chacona in a couple of ways, but also allow some variety. So I have attempted to make a class called the Rifleman, which is something that they were referring to earlier about having those different ranged weapon in there. I have attempted to make it pretty viable. It does do a decent amount of damage if you're able to hit, but that is if you have good aim and are able to do so in the Conan environment. The second one is that one's referred to as a rifleman if I didn't say it. The second one is called a survivalist. The easiest way that I can explain this, it's very akin to an archer, so kind of like a hunter in a way. But we're referring to that as they are someone that's going to be cold and calculating, surviving out in the wilderness, that type of thing. The next one is a hitman or hitwoman. The reason why we kind of came up with that is the typical assassin class, that type of thing, was something that we kept in mind. We wanted to make it more modernized. So there's a few different things that we've done for that, but we'll have to that'll be more uncovered within the game in of itself. There's 2 classes that I have that are going to be more melee based, aside from the hitman, hitwoman, which I refer to as bruiser and striker. I've kind of gone along the lines of making one the more hardy, able-bodied, able to kind of take a hit, and then one that's more of a hit and runner. The bruiser is the one that's the hardy and able-bodied one. The striker is the one that's kind of able to work in that way of being able to do decent burst damage, is the way I'll put that. But yeah, as far as you can see on the website, all that's kind of laid out in the descriptions that are there. if you wish to take a look at those. If you have any questions or comments or concerns about them, let me know. I'll read the questions off in chat.
So if I can bring up magic again. I know that there is base magic in Conan. We are going to be disabling those feats.
Yes.
So that is not something that you will be able to do. Just to save yourself some time if you try to go and do those quests and things to get it. So we're looking to see if there's any more questions. If you have any more questions, please post them up.
Mm-hmm.
As more information comes out, we will, of course, put that in the proper channel for information. And remember that the Elder application will be going out later today, tomorrow at the latest, and we will announce it and link it. So. All right. Well, if anybody doesn't have any more questions, wait. The POIs with the POI, will that have to be paid again like last season, plus limitation to only 2 per time? So we had a big discussion on POIs last season, and we wanted to make sure that players didn't spam POIs all over the place. And to make sure that there was a distinction between player POIs and staff POIs. And we had put the onus on the players to note that these were player POIs. And last season, a lot of people didn't do that. They actually found POIs all over the place that were not marked and were player POIs. We're probably going to wind up doing the same thing where you're limited to 2 and you have to purchase them. And that is specifically so that, they're not all over the place and detract from the story POIs. We do want people to be able to create their own stories, and we do want people to have their own situations that they create.
Hold on.
So we will be providing them. We just want to make sure that there's not so many that they're overwhelming things of it.
Yeah, no magic. No magic unless you want to David Copperfield it. Or, be a fortune teller.
What if...
The same question can be asked reverse. Why doesn't players just write player instead of admins? Need to write admin. It's a long discussion. Oh, I'm gonna worry now.
Yeah.
It can go back and forth very long.
I think this was a discussion last time, and we had asked the player base to do that so that they, so that people knew it was a player POI.
Yeah, because
I think that goes longer than than staff writing admin.
They
on something.
changed the way you pick up crystal. I don't actually know how you pick up crystal. Because writing admin would be a rule break. I think most of us use this method because other servers do it that way. Some of us don't play on other servers. I do not play on a single other Conan server anymore. I left every single one of their Discords.
Because writing admin would be a rule break? What do you mean by that?
Staff are at a higher standard as part of their duties to increase the standard of storytelling. People are used to seeing admin instead of players writing player. I understand what they're saying. They're expecting us to label them versus them having to label them.
Because writing, staff are at a higher standard. I mean, this is more discussion than questions we're having here, but I guess the bottom line is you guys want us to have to label them instead of you having to label them because of what other servers do. That seems to be the consensus. we've never concerned ourselves with what other servers do per se. And I'm worried about our staff, which are very limited.
I mean, she's right.
We're
Players
going to be
forget,
doing a
staff
lot
usually
of things.
doesn't. Like, she's not wrong.
I think trying to set up stories and areas and times and things like that, and having to write extra for the staff, I think is, a little bit different than players that just have 2 POIs to put down and putting player on it. We'll discuss it, and we will come up with something to announce. We will announce what we will do with POIs, because there might be some other things that we can do to get around some of these issues.
Is there a color
So
code option
we'll
for
announce
POIs now,
that later
or
on
is it
after
all
we
the
have a
same?
discussion and figure out what we're going to do. So hopefully that'll be good. As far as them being sold, I think we might stay with that. It didn't seem like too many people had an issue with that last season, and it did keep them to a minimum. So hopefully we can do that the same way, and we'll adjust it so it's not super expensive, but just so that you do have a limited number of POIs that you can buy, just so they're not spammed all over the place. Because while many players are very careful and considerate with them, some people just were not. So we want to make sure that we have that situated. Okay, what else we got? What other questions you guys got? Hit us. I see people typing, so I'm going to wait.
I can make you see the light.
Can you have a lightsaber? No.
Yep. Answer that. We're good.
No, you cannot have a lightsaber. When we do our cyberpunk season, then you can have a lightsaber. How about that? What steps have been taken to alleviate the ticket sluggage that may come again this season from server story? So what we've done specifically is we've made sure that we have the entire season mapped out, not necessarily in what the events are, but in what the knowledge is. So these things were not available to all staff last season, whereas now they are available. So any staff can answer a question that's related to the server story, and it's not just kind of waiting on me, because we're kind of making it up as we go. We've spent a lot of time actually discussing what the lore for the season is and what the story is and the answers to a lot of these things. So there should not be that wait this time.
Will vanilla cooking recipes be available for sale at all, or will they be restricted to certain shops?
I think anybody can make the vanilla.
Yeah, anyone can go grab the vanilla stuff. Are you talking about like what I did last season for you guys and just sold it all, the recipes in a thespian? That I won't be doing.
Okay, I see what you're saying. When we selling?
If you're a cook, can we say that though? If you get the profession, you get it kind of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With it. So if you get the profession, you get the cooking recipes, the vanilla ones.
Yeah.
Also regarding cooking, Ellie, you wanna speak about your supplier?
No.
No?
No.
No. I'm just gonna have
Okay,
a
well-
distributor bakery shop in Murkeystone. So if anybody's trying to do a bakery and they would like to purchase anything from the distributor, they can RP it with me. And if they want to potentially pay extra or RP it so that they have exclusive items for a week or so, I'm absolutely okay with the RP in that.
I will be having the same for the food and drinks. The normal foods and drinks. I don't remember.
I don't really want to talk
Yeah,
about.
so
Like, I haven't
we will have some
established
custom
specifically.
food items. We'll have some custom bakery items. I'm actually still creating some of them, so you'll see some of them come, over time in that bakery shop. So there'll be things that you haven't seen before, and then you'll be able to buy them. For the Dark Dissension Brewing and Cooking mod, can anyone learn to make those? Don't think we're limiting that, are we?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there was a discussion between me and Kay about it. I don't know if it's on the list of not being able to make it. I'm gonna be very honest. I'm sorry. I'll get back to you on that one. I forgot that mod was in there. Sorry.
Yeah, so the blood-related food items, those don't actually have crafting recipes tied to them, so they would have to be purchase only. You're not going to be able to craft those, but you can certainly buy those and sell those. Somebody comes in and says, "I want to see the bottom shelf stuff," you know. Okay.
You mean the salt? The
You know,
sugar?
like the blood stuff and the. Yeah,
Oh,
we
you're
had.
talking about? Are we talking about food? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we had the blood
Oh.
sausage stuff, right? And we had things that were specifically vampire or werewolf oriented.
Oh, yeah. What
So
about that? Sorry. What's the answer to that?
they were just asking if they could craft it or if they had to buy it. So.
Oh no, that's exactly what I was saying before. Is they'll be able to buy those things from me, the
Yeah.
food stuff. Yeah, from my character, you'll buy from.
I mean, I don't. Who's going to know that you're buying those things unless you don't,
We can have a menu.
Sure.
Yeah, it's big brains.
I like my
big
food
blood.
rare. What can I
Uh-huh.
tell you?
You want the rares and the
I
rare
want the
food?
I want the rare stuff. the
Exotic
rare stuff.
food.
All right. So, what do we
Yeah.
have? What do we have that is any other questions here? So we don't have to keep everyone here. But have any-
Just sorry, Faust. Arabella, most of the recipes are named after real foods that it won't be too questionable when buying. It was done deliberately like that. Yeah.
yeah, like you might want the blood pudding.
Yeah, the blood pudding is a real thing, so. Or the blood sausage. I think that's also a thing.
Yeah. All right. I see. What kind of laws do you plan on having enforced in the cities? So that's a good question. A lot of the laws are going to have to be made by the council, right? There's going to be some basic ones like don't murder people. I think that's pretty much,
Don't jump the wall.
There's a few that I have set out on a
Don't
document
jump
I was
the
going
wall.
to post to staff and see what we thought. To have at least starting laws, and then anyone's after that would be
Don't run
ratified
through
with the
town on your
council. Was the
horse.
thought process there?
Yep.
Have you talked about the court?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna put Misery's old laws in, Brevin.
Okay,
Jeez.
it's gonna be
Say please
great.
and thank you.
Yep.
So, The modes of transportation, I don't think we talked about that. We've now
Ooh.
moved to trains.
Trains. You want to see a
So there
sneaky
are
peeky?
steam trains that are in. They don't move. They're animated, but they don't move. And that is how people get around.
These are
So
our
you
carriages,
would take the train
caravans, teleports this
to get
season.
from area to area.
Trains.
I forgot to say, now that I see Cage of Shame. Cage of Shame is gonna be a thing. That is the jail. Like, it's not gonna be, when you jump the Wolf Murkystone, you're not gonna go to the real jail. You're gonna go to the Cage of Shame, which would be public. Everyone's gonna see you.
So yeah, make fun of the wall jumper.
And it's only the wall jumpers that will end up in there. So you know that's why
Yeah.
they're in there.
No
All right. Do we have any other questions? Give it about another minute, and then we'll conclude. If you have questions you think of, or you have questions that you didn't think of, and you would like an answer, just please feel free to put in a ticket. If you have a character idea, you're not sure how it's going to work, put in a ticket, and we'll do our best to answer. And we look forward to seeing you guys like next week. No pressure.
Right?
From them, no pressure. For us, yeah.
All the pressure, man.
I have so much work to do.
It's good.
Still.
This is our first.
I have
This is our
so
first
much
rodeo.
work still to do. I have a long list.
Whitelists will be open the day the server goes live. So everybody, if you have member next to your,
Oh wait, Faust. Wait. The other. We don't do whitelists like other servers. If that's the question. Also, it's only the elder and the cultists, I guess, and approval of another being, right, Faust? That needs to put in tickets.
well, there's actual applications. So if you are looking to be a cultist, go on the website, go to the season guidelines, find the link to the application there, fill it in, fill it out. We'll be notifying people probably a day or two before whether they became a cultist or not. We want to give enough people enough time. So make sure you have a backup plan, because if we fill up on cultists, you want to make sure that you have a backup character that in case you didn't get your app in on time. The elders, same deal. The elders going to go out today or tomorrow, and we'll notify it. As far as whitelist is concerned, everybody that has member next to their name is whitelisted. So there's no having to reapply to play this season. I don't know what other servers do, but we don't like to create that kind of work for ourselves.
Yeah,
So
I know exactly what they're doing, and I don't have the time. I can tell you that now.
yeah, so
No. We have too much to do.
yeah, and we're not going to require character sheets or any of that kind of stuff. We are reliant on the rule that we have. Please put forth your best RP, and that you will play a character that fits within the season, due to the guidelines. So
Final question. If you are a human, will there be a chance for you to join the cultists mid-season if RP leads down that path?
Always.
I would say put in an app for it, and then if it gets approved, then you can decide to do it whenever you want, I think. So just put in a ticket. You know what I mean? Put in a ticket and let us know
God
what your
damn,
plans
why does
are,
it keep doing that to me?
and we'll work with you. All right.
Alrighty.
I think that about sums it up, right?
The silence is
All right. Well, I think we will conclude our town hall. We want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for being interested in playing this season with us, and thank you for being part of this community. This is a labor of love for all of the
It's a
staff,
labor, that's
and
for sure.
we. It's
Annie and I
funny,
have been
we
working on this
we
since
yell at each
August,
other, we scream at
September.
each other,
We've
we
been working on this for a
console
long
each
time.
other. We really want to make this
Console
something
each
different
other.
and really neat for all of
So
us
funny.
to enjoy. So, hopefully we pull it off, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Thank you all.
Appreciate you guys.
Oh.
No, you, Faye.
Is this Faye Falcon? Like she changed her name?
How do you end this?
I think you just
You just
cancel it or
leave.
something.
She's so funny. So,
I'm gonna
Elder
leave those.
application,
Sticky.
Sun Cultist
Enjoy.
application
Bye.
will be up. I think one is already up, but we'll make sure to put an announcement out with the applications, with the links. And yeah, we'll see you on Saturday.
No, it's actually 2030. Yes, no, I'm kidding.